Day 38 of learning Valorant. We started off with our fundamentals routine where we are continuing to try to master inputting the correct movement direction and flick direction with our hands while the bots spawn. I messed up a couple times, but I believe my error per run is decreasing, which is good to see. So hopefully we will start becoming more consistent and be able to react faster in the correct direction as we improve and become more confident in our ability to move in the proper direction. I then ran 2 death matches and 1 team deathmatch, and the interesting thing I noticed was that my team deathmatch fighting style was more similar to my ranked fighting style, which is like a lot of really rushed shots. It's not that I'm not rushing shots in deathmatch, it's just I do it a little bit less, which is interesting to see. So running some team deathmatches, I might do 1 a day, might be beneficial in ironing out some of my issues that I see in my gunfight hygiene in ranked. And if not, it's still going to be good practice transitioning that fighting style into something better, because then when I do it in ranked, it will be significantly easier as well. Then we hop into our first ranked game of the day on Breeze. We're playing Reyna again. Honestly, I feel like there's a couple things happening during these games that lead to good things happening and bad things happening. You know, of course, we have the rushing our shots problem that we're working on. And while I feel like I'm getting better, there's also still instances where I rush my shots a lot. And I guess it's just going to take time for me to reprogram my brain to calm down. Because, you know, some of my bad habits are like Valorant related habits that I've developed while playing the game. And then some of my habits are probably just something I've always done playing any game, FPS or not, and those will probably be harder to root out. Like rushing my shots is probably something I've done in any game, irrelevant of whether it's a FPS or not, so it might be a little harder to fix, but not to say with active practice it will be impossible. I'm just making excuses so that I can cope and things like that. Now, an angle here, boom, I didn't know I could be seen from that angle. You know, there's a lot of times in these games, like 2 to 3 times per game, where I die to an angle I just don't know exists. Or, you know, I have a bad habit I realized in the last couple of days where when people use one-ways, I try to like ego them, but I need to remember how angles work, and if I'm closer to the one-way, it's bad for me. If I'm further away from the one-way, it's good for me. Also, you know, there's this spot in mid where I died to a chamber because I didn't know he was just kind of chilling in a corner that I thought I cleared, but he was just like tucked in a really nice spot to watch the door. And that's just an area that I'll have to move differently the next time I'm rotating through mid. So it's like as soon as you learn one spot to clear, that's like, and how to path through it, you have to learn the next like 4 steps. And then slowly you learn how to move from location to location without dying. And it takes a lot of time. And, you know, unconsciously, you probably can develop this over a period of a lot of games, or you can try to like review your VODs and learn it quicker by noticing making, you know, certain errors or being like, how did I die here? You know, was this a timing issue where they got good timing on me, or was this a preventable issue, or were they just in a weird spot that I don't know if I need to check every single time? Because if you start obsessively checking every single angle, it's probably not going to work out well for you, because then, you know, they just have to like off angle you or something like that. So it's just going to take time. Here I didn't know which target to prioritize, so since the Reyna unswing, I switched to the Omen, got him, but I was not fast enough with the flick, and I tried to spray. I bet if I, you know, went for headshots there, it could have gone better. Here is just, you know, I don't want to talk about it. That didn't happen. We get a okay kill on the chamber. Someone talked about this in the comments before, where I have an issue where I'm not spacing out my bursts enough. I'm doing them too close together, and I'm now realizing that because we look on the graph, the shooting error is moving in an upwards trend, like the orange part, which means that I'm not pausing long enough to reset my my burst fire shooting error issues, which is an interesting problem to have. And I think I might have hypothesized a solution to that, which would be a shooting error crosshair that like expands when you have shooting errors, so that way I can tell when my burst is reset, and then it'll be harder to aim when my shooting error is bigger. And it might seem annoying, be like, oh, this is frustrating, I can't aim, but I shouldn't even be shooting when the crosshair is expanded. Now, hypothetically, it'll be harder to be on the target to wait for my shooting error to reset, but I think that might be a good way to solve that issue. So we might be experimenting with some new crosshairs in the coming days Who knows exactly what's going to happen? I guess I might in the future, but the current me doesn't really know. Now, the white dot, I do kind of like it because it's smaller than the spray pattern for the for the like any of the guns. So as long as the dot's on their head, they should die, and even if it's just near their head, they die some of the times, which is kind of nice. So I liked it. We ended up drawing this game, which was kind of annoying because we were up, but we started losing rounds, but we managed to get a draw. I didn't vote for the draw, but I'm not really angry when it draws because it's like, okay, if I played well enough, I'll gain some RR, which is nice because a lot of the times you go to the next rank and you get like 98 RR. It's like, okay, if I would have drawn one game, I could be, evolved to the next tier. Here we're on bind, and I kind of like playing long because you can just take some fights, win them. Here, I forget that someone could just re-peek that angle. That's just bad movement, right? Like I should go tuck back against the wall, watch long, and then switch to clearing out garden. I think that place is called garden. After I'm safely across the hallway from long, instead of just like only staring at garden, which I know is empty because I just watched it. They technically could be tucked there, but I don't know how they get on site. Here I get body blocked, but I don't die. I hid from the KJ ult in like a tiny corner over here, so I end up getting a kill that they don't expect, which was nice. And then overall, defensive taking through heaven feels bad, but so does pushing out that other hallway, like near U-Haul. So I don't really know the best way. I guess you technically could like flank all the way behind, but for me, entering A site just feels bad no matter which way I go. I generally prefer to go through the hallway near U-Haul. Here, after I got to half, I should have got off and tried to get the kill. But I was just hoping he wouldn't expect me to stick it. My general strategy is just to, not fake and hold the bomb down, which I don't know. I should like keep track of how often that works. And if it's like less than 50% of the time, I maybe should switch. But if it's a 50-50 shot of working, then maybe I stick with it. Who knows? I do try to fake sometimes. It just depends on the scenario. But I think like 80% of the time, I don't fake. Now, rushing shots, I do see myself doing it, right there, I was doing it again. Because I think at some point, I'm like actively working on it, but then I try to like passively work on it, which means I forget and I'm just like playing the game. But I think it would probably be better for me to like actively focus on focusing on it. I think Reyna is super OP during pistol round, and I think some Reynas make a mistake of buying a blind, right? Because you're like, oh, a blind can give me advantage in a 2v1 or a multiple person versus one, but the double heal is so much more OP because in pistol, if you win your first fight, you can snowball that into at least, a triple kill if you have, because you shouldn't lose in a fight once you have full shield. And then if you win that second fight, you get another full shield. So if you're not getting like 3 or 4 kills on Reyna on pistol, you're kind of trolling. Especially if you buy blind, okay? And I'm a professional Reyna, so listen to me. No other high elo Reynas know what they're talking about. We then hopped into the aim training where we continue to grind it out. A little high score set today. We like to see it. Those slow, steady improvements will carry over into real life, which is pretty nice.